Zach Lego here, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Danganronpa. We are here. It is time for the 5th class trial. We're going to see what the frick is going on. And let's see. Just make sure. I don't think I got any of this stuff. Okay, thank you. Anyways, here we go. Let's see what's about to happen.
Let's begin with a basic. If you can, then I'll punish. Okay, what?
Well then, let's discuss the specifics of the victim. First, we need to clarify who exactly the unidentified victim is.
It's Kyoko. There's no other explanation.
Dude, shut the use your brain. Kyoko's right there.
But Kyoko's standing right there.
Exactly.
No, that's a ghost.
No.
But she has legs and stuff.
Well, that's just because she's like the latest evolution in ghost technology.
There's a limit to how much ridiculousness I can tolerate.
Okay. So I just have to prove that the corpse isn't Kyoko, right? Then let's compare Kyoko's traits to the traits of the dead body.
Her traits?
One point trait Kyoko that belong to her is... Whoa.
I got it! I'm talking about her gloves. They'll give us some insight into the mystery. I'm sure of it.
In that case, I think it would be helpful if someone explained why she actually wears those gloves.
And would you happen to know the answer?
In fact, Monokuma told me. Apparently you have scars on your hands you don't want anyone to see.
Oh, you know, now that I think about it, the corpse wasn't wearing any gloves, right?
They probably just got burnt up in the explosion. I'm not convinced. The ghost is just trying to fool us all.
No way that corpse was Kyoko, but if I can't prove why, we're gonna be stuck here in the case moving forward, so I don't have any choice. You know, you're really wasting my goddamn time. If you were just a normal human being is gonna Kyoko, then this would be easy. I already understand. You know, it's fake news. Because if you did,
That Kyoko there is just a ghost.
Impossible.
Okay, then prove it. Prove she's not a ghost.
The dead body wasn't wearing gloves.
They got burnt up in the explosion.
Bing.
Then she was wearing gloves before the explosion.
Well, yeah, she must have been wearing gloves.
No.
No, it's wrong.
Because the nails are longer than what? Kyoko wouldn't have longer nails.
No.
Because
There's no way the corpse was wearing gloves. Whoever it was, they were wearing fake
look how long
nails,
those nails
remember? I imagine trying to wear gloves over nails like that would have been a pretty big pain. Besides, Kyoko wears gloves to hide her hands, right? It'd be pretty weird for someone who's self-conscious about their hands to wear fake nails. Don't you think?
Jeez, man, you don't know women, huh? They're complicated like that.
If anyone doesn't know women, it's you.
Well, Kyoko, any thoughts?
These gloves were custom made to the size of my hands to make sure they don't interfere with my daily life. If I wore fake nails, the gloves wouldn't fit properly.
Then that's that. The dead body doesn't belong to Kyoko.
Which should have been obvious since she's standing right here.
Okay, so then, who's the real victim? First, we need to figure that out.
That's the first thing I said. You're the one who's been dragging us around in circles.
For anything, we need to have to identify the victim. Everything starts from here. What's going on? The victim is tattooed on her hand. Yep. I can already tell it's about to be tattooed on the right. Tattooed on the right. Tattooed on the right.
Kyoko really is still alive. Then who died?
There's gotta be some way to figure it out. I don't think so. The face was scorched beyond recognition. And there wasn't any description in the Monokuma file. Well, if we can't identify the body...
There we go.
No, it's wrong.
Okay, dude, you tattooed.
There was one clue left behind that we can use to identify the body.
What? For real? If you're lying, you'll die a cruel and unusual death.
Cruel and unusual.
She's just being stupid. Ignore them, Makoto. Tell us what you're talking about.
The key to figuring out who it was is the tattoo on the back of her hand.
Oh, yeah. The design's pretty strange, huh? Is this a dog? Her master must have made her get it. To be like, you're my bitch.
Seriously? They really did something that humiliating?
No, that's not it. the identity of the victim is hidden within that tattoo.
Oh, really?
You compare the tattoo to other information when it comes to the victim's identity. It's clear. Ding, ding. Where is it? There.
I got it! The Fenrir Mercenary Corps. That's the name of the military group Mukuro Ikusaba belonged to.
Okay, so...
To show that they're a member of the team, each soldier that joins the squad would get a tattoo representing Fenrir somewhere on their body.
Fenrir?
Who represents Fenrir? A wolf? Is that... You gotta be kidding me. We're in chapter...
Now I understand.
We've gone through 4 chapters, and the game is like, could you spell
The representation of Fenrir is a wolf.
Could you spell this 4-letter word correctly? I wonder what it is.
Fenrir, the Wolf of Ragnarok. It's from Norse mythology. A huge, world-ending wolf beast. He's the child of the trickster god Loki, and a female giant.
Man, after all this time, we finally got a glimpse of the literary all-star.
A wolf tattoo. And that means...
Exactly. The body we found had a tattoo of a wolf, which means that person must have once belonged to Fenrir. So it must have been Mukuro.
What?
Hold on. Isn't she the one that was behind this whole thing?
You sound surprised, but you're absolutely right. Yes, indeed. The trial this time is to solve the murder of Mukuro Ikusaba.
Are you saying the mastermind is dead? And now we have to have a coup-last trial?
No. It means we were wrong in thinking that Mukuro was the mastermind at all.
But I mean, being the ultimate despair seems like a pretty mastermindy title to me.
Maybe we shouldn't have been thinking of her as the ultimate despair in the first place. After all, looking at her profile, I didn't see anything that would fit such a description. All it said was that she was the ultimate soldier. If I remember correctly, that other information came from Kyoko. That's what you told Makoto, right?
So that means Kyoko got it wrong?
And who was she? Who was Mukuro Ikusaba? She's been gone this whole time? And when she finally turns up, she gets killed. Usually when there's a scene where an important character dies, it has a lot more detail.
So you're saying she wasn't an important character, which would mean she was the same as us. Just another participant.
Then who's the real mastermind?
It must have been the Hope's Peak Academy headmaster after all.
No, the headmaster has nothing to do with it.
But how can we trust that? We already know your information about Mukuro was wrong.
My information was not wrong.
Okay. We're in the middle of a trial right now. Figuring out who killed Mukuro is first and foremost. Please limit all future prattle, chatter, and chit-chat as much as possible.
Fine. Uncovering the identity of the mastermind will have to wait. But remember this, no matter what happens, we will find out who you really are. I stake my family name on it.
I have officially decided to completely ignore all such attempts at provocation. Now then, just so nobody's confused, let me state this one more time for the record. The reason we're having a class trial is because a murder among the students has taken place. Hammer that point straight into your big ol' brains!
What you're saying is that both the victim and the culprit are part of the student body?
Then, one of us killed Mukuro?
Wait, no! There's a chance that there's some mystery 17th person who's been hiding all along!
Nope! There are only 16 students in total that have been taking part in these events.
Seriously? Then one of us killed Mukuro?
Who did it? Who's the killer this time?
Get a hold of yourself. We've already narrowed down the list of possible suspects.
Huh?
I'm sure you realize who I'm talking about, right, Makoto? Who the evidence points to?
You've narrowed it down to Kyoko and me, right?
Why do you say that?
Allow me to explain. Just after nighttime last night, I went to the garden, so I can confirm that at that point, there was no dead body there. So, the murder must have taken place after I left the garden. However, Hiro, Toko, Hina, and I were in the gym the entire time.
The gym?
That's right. The four of us were there trying to dismantle Monokuma. The whole time we were very careful not to go anywhere alone. We even went to the bathroom in pairs. All of which is to say, the four of us all have alibis. The only ones without alibis
Are me and Makoto. That's why you're able to narrow down the list of suspects.
exactly so.
The only suspects now are me and Kyoko. Damn it, I can't let this stand. Someone have to clear my name.
I have something I'd like to say regarding the whole alibi thing.
Are you thinking of raising an objection?
Well, before that, I just want to try and get a better idea of what time the murder took place. Doing that might reveal some kind of clue.
Whatever you want. Somebody go ahead and help him out.
Me and Byakuya can both confirm that the body wasn't in the garden at, well, it was after nighttime for sure. I'd say it must have been around 10 o'clock. So the murder must have happened after 10 p.m.
Then I guess we can say the time frame for the murder was between then and when we found the body? Oh, but what time did we find the body?
The one who saw the body first was Toko, right?
Botanical Pie discovered at 9 o'clock.
I got it! The body must have been discovered at 9 a.m., since that's when Toko went to get the pickaxe.
No, stop being freaking flashbacks.
He's right. It had to be around then.
So we can be totally sure the murder happened sometime between 10 at night and 9 in the morning.
For me, I was already asleep before nighttime hit, so I don't have an alibi after 10 o'clock, but I'm sure I met up with everyone else before 9 this morning.
We ran into each other in the dining hall, right? That was around... Oh yeah! Right around 7:30. I remember checking right before I went in, so I'm totally sure about it.
Which means from 10 p.m. to 7:30 a.m., you don't have an alibi.
Murder happened between 10 p.m. and 9 a.m. I have an alibi from 10 p.m. until 7:30 a.m. But then what's up the game if we go? If I can provide an alibi for that period, and I have to prove the murder in after that time, I don't have an alibi. To do that, I have to make it clear when the body ended up in the garden. Sprinklers? I don't think it's the other two.
We've established a time frame for the murder.
Ding.
It took place somewhere between 10 o'clock at night and 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yep, and Makoto doesn't have an alibi for most of that time.
Yeah, from 10 o'clock to 7:30.
That?
That's more than enough time to commit murder, I should think. So Makoto, if you have any objections,
Now would
Okay,
be
so
the time.
let's shoot that. I think I was.
We've established a time. It took place somewhere between 9 o'clock. Yep. And the
Yeah, from 10 to 7:30.
No?
Shoot!
Oh, am I supposed to pick up the thing and throw it?
we've established a time frame for the murder. It took place somewhere between 10 o'clock at night and 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yep, and Makoto doesn't have an alibi for most of the...
Yeah, from 10 o'clock to 7:30.
That's more than enough time to commit murder, I should think. So Makoto, if you have
Wait a
any
second.
objections, now would be the time.
Let me look over here. Maybe the bomb? Maybe I do the fragment?
We've established a time frame for the murder. It took place somewhere between
10 o'clock
I'm
and
gonna
9
try
o'clock.
these
Yep.
two folds
And
on
Makoto...
the
Yeah,
one
from
over
10
here
to
and see what I do.
7:30.
Okay, that one didn't work. Oh god, I'm doing bad. I'm about to get half on this section.
We've established a time frame for the murder.
It took place somewhere between 9 o'clock. Yep.
And Makoto does...
Yeah, from 10 to 7:30.
Okay, so.
Shoot!
I'm about to fucking lose.
We've established a time frame for the murder. It took place somewhere between 10 o'clock at night
And 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yep, and Makoto doesn't have an...
Let me try doing
Yeah,
it
from
this
10
way.
to 7:30.
Okay. I got life, it's fine. It's all good. I know I only have one heart left. We're chilling.
We've established a time. It took place somewhere between 9 o'clock. Yep. And Makoto...
Yeah, from 7:30.
That's more than enough time, so Makoto, if you have any objections, now would be...
Died.
We've established a time frame for it took place somewhere between 10 o'clock at night.
What? Wait a minute. I failed that. Okay, I'm dead. I'm dead. The trial just started and I already failed. That's a bad sign. Okay, let's see. What happens when you fail? Failed. Fantastic. No one believes me. No one wants to hear what I have to say. Oh, I already come to the end of the debate. Well, the class was officially adjourned. Now it's time to reveal who's a blackened. It appears that the one with the most roots is Makoto. Makoto is not the blackened. Too bad. The real code gets to graduate. Congratulations.
Is this...
all over? Sure.
I refuse to give up yet!
Did that just spoil... Wait, hold on. Did Monokuma just spoil the actual class trial? Because I lost, and he literally just said Makoto isn't the black one. So Monokuma literally just told us Makoto isn't the black one. So I know I'm not the killer. Thank you. See, what failing helped. Failing helped. Me failing actually helped. Because then it proved that I'm not the killer. Big brain. See, I meant to do that. I meant to kill. I killed on purpose, obviously.
We've established a time frame for the murder. It took place somewhere between 10 o'clock.
Okay, that worked perfect.
No, that's wrong!
See, failing helped. It's a good thing that I failed. Because now I know Makoto is the killer.
Actually, the murder couldn't have happened anywhere near 10 o'clock. It had to have taken place way later.
And what makes you say that?
Because of the sprinklers in the garden. The sprinklers are set to go off right at 7:30 every morning, right?
But there was a tarp, a dirty tarp in the shed that shows that they used that to cover up the body from the sprinklers.
So if the body had been in the garden before 7:30, then it should have been completely soaked.
Oh, hold on. I remember this part. The body was wet. Dripping wet, in fact.
Sorry, Toko, but you're wrong.
I'm wrong? Are you saying only the mouth down south was wet?
No, I'm saying that the body was wet, but not because of the sprinklers.
What do you mean by denying the sprinkler? Are you trying to deny my entire existence? If you really think it wasn't the sprinkler, you'd better tell us why!
I prove that wasn't the sprinklers that kept by what obviously the sprinklers will turn the evidence into it. So looking by itself, it'll make it clear. Tarp. It has to be the frickin' tarp or something, you know?
I admit nothing. I hate you. No! I don't know anything.
I was almost sure, because at first I forgot what the
Are
deal
you trying to blame me?
I was like, oh
I
no.
admit nothing. I hate you. No! I don't know anything. Hold on. Are you trying to blame me? I admit nothing. Are you trying to blame me? I admit nothing. I hate you. No! I don't know anything.
Okay, where is it? Tarp?
How can you say it wasn't the sprinkler?
No, never mind.
This should prove it.
I was looking through it. Oh, hey, can I get to the tarp one? But it's literally just close by now. Guess that works too. That was the tarp.
Just remember what the body was like after the explosion, and you'll see why it wasn't the... The top half of the body was wet, yes, but the bottom half was completely dry.
Yeah, it's wet. Because I freaking took a huge bucket of water and sprayed on it.
If the sprinklers got the body wet, shouldn't the whole body have been wet?
So they only got the top wet? The bottom was completely dry? I'm so sick of her.
Let's just move on. The reason only the top half was wet was because... While the body was still on fire, I doused it with water. But only the part on fire, the top half.
Then I guess the sprinklers really didn't do it.
So if the sprinklers didn't get the body wet, then the murder must have taken place sometime after the sprinklers turned on at 7:30 in the morning.
No!
Which means she must have been killed sometime between then and when the body was discovered at 9.
I think Makoto's the damn killer, because she's not this stupid.
But Makoto's alibi was only missing from 10 o'clock last night to 7:30 this morning, right?
So there's no way Makoto could have done it. I guess you had an alibi after all. Good for you.
In which case, the only one left without an alibi is Kyoko.
There's only one time alibi. The killer is refused to believe it. Fucking murder
I'd
someone,
just
that's-
like to say one thing. If you vote for me and I die here, the mystery of this school will stay hidden forever, which is why I can't let that happen.
So are you saying you're not the culprit?
Of course I'm not. I have no reason to kill anyone. This is a trap the mastermind has laid for us.
A trap?
We're this far into the game, and now you decide to blame me? Stop wasting time! Stop wasting energy! You really think your little trick is gonna work?
Shut up, you!
You got it, boss! Shutting up now!
Anyway, Kyoko, you actually did have a reason to kill her.
Huh? She did?
She thought Mukuro was the ultimate despair. In other words, the mastermind behind everything. So she killed her to try and put a stop to all this. Isn't that right, Kyoko? But you made one catastrophic mistake. Mukuro wasn't the mastermind at all, and as a result, we were forced into another trial. Something I'm sure you weren't at all expecting.
So, that was her motive?
If she had a motive and no alibi, well then, I think it's pretty clear Kyoko's gotta be the culprit.
I'm not the only one without an alibi. Makoto's explanation is
Makoto,
still
you kind of got your
insufficient.
stuff dug into like a freaking hole. You kind of dug yourself into a bit of a hole here, you know? Yeah, kind of just did that. Because you already know Kyoko's going to take that and be like, oh, okay, you idiot, Makoto.
The sprinklers didn't get the body wet, but that doesn't mean the murder happened when he said it did.
What are you?
Because you see, there is a way the body
Tarp.
could have avoided getting wet.
That's tarp.
Interesting. I'm listening.
All it would take is covering the body with a certain something to keep it from getting wet.
It's the tarp. That's only the scene. It could have been the tarp.
I got it! You're talking about the tarp, aren't you?
You catch on quick. You're right. All you have to do is cover the body with the tarp, and that'd take care of the water. In fact, that's exactly what the killer did. The dirt pattern on the tarp can attest to that. Only one side of the tarp got dirty, because that's the side that got covered in water. The side that faced down over the body, meanwhile, kept perfectly clean. This proves that the killer used the tarp to keep the body from getting soaked.
But why would they go to all that effort just to keep the body from getting wet?
Most likely so they could cloud the issue of when the murder actually took place. In other words, to create an excuse exactly like the one Makoto just gave us.
I'm not supposed to say that. I was just wanting to make me look like the killer. I can't think about that right now. The tarp. That was used to wake up the said. Once it touched the body, right? Body.
Wait, something's not right.
And what might that be?
Can't worry about Kyoko's motivations. If I don't do something, everything's going to think I'm the killer. I have to reveal what Kyoko said.
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water.
Frick, that's wrong thing.
Shoot!
By covering the body, the killer prevented.
So the reason that is because the spring, but the underside, it was totally.
It's because that side was since it was facing down toward the body. Of course, it didn't get dirty.
Exactly.
No,
I
it's wrong.
did the wrong thing.
Actually, one side being clean is pretty strange if you think about it. Because the blood wasn't dry before the body got blown up, right? Yakuya said it himself. Not to touch it, or you might get some on you. If you put a tarp on a body in that state, it absolutely would have gotten blood on it.
Well, maybe the culprit washed it, so nobody would know they'd used it.
If they had, they would have washed both sides. Just washing the one side wouldn't hide anything.
Oh, yeah, true.
More than that, What if the very blood we saw on the body was meant as a kind of camouflage?
What was camouflage?
What if, after the killer used the tarp to avoid the sprinkler, they then covered the body in blood that didn't belong to the victim?
You mean someone else's blood? Where would they get something like that?
The chicken. There's a missing chicken.
I know! They could have grabbed some of the blood packs from the nurse's office. That's what Hifumi did, right? When he pretended to be dead?
No, that's not what happened this time. The killer got the blood from right there in the garden.
Look at that, right? It's the chicken. There we go.
I got it! Could it have been chicken blood?
What? Chicken blood?
When I checked the chicken coop before the murder, there were 5 chickens. But after the murder, there were only 4.
So, you're saying someone killed a chicken and then covered the body with its blood? Man, that's messed up.
Killing a living thing just to do something like that is awful. They should have at least eaten it.
I wonder if the killer had to get the blood from the scene so they wouldn't be spotted walking around. Anyway, there's no denying that a chicken went missing, which provides a basis for my theory.
Perhaps, but even so, there's one thing that still doesn't make sense. You said the culprit used the tarp to avoid the water and then covered the body in blood, right? But if that's the case, then the blood should have soaked into the ground around the body. But that's not what we saw. Only the victim's clothing had blood on it. The ground was completely clean.
I have to agree, that certainly is strange. Maybe they didn't apply the blood at the scene. Maybe they covered the coat in blood beforehand.
They covered it beforehand?
When you discovered the body, was it wearing the coat like you normally would?
I think so. Wait,
No, it's not.
no. The head was through the neck hole, but the arms weren't in the sleeves.
Then that settles it.
Sorry, I'm having a tough time keeping it. What settles what?
Here's what happened. The murder took place before the sprinklers went off, but the body didn't get wet because the killer covered it with the tarp. Then, later, at the same time the killer was gathering up the tarp, they pulled the coat over the body. The coat they'd already covered in blood. This series of cover-ups was meant to disguise the actual time the murder occurred.
This really makes me look bad.
They wanted us to think the murder happened sometime after the sprinklers had gone off, at 7:30.
If that's actually what took place, it certainly becomes possible that the murder happened earlier.
But to pull all that off, wouldn't they have had to go back to the garden after the sprinklers turned off?
That actually wouldn't have been all that difficult. They already had the coat ready, so they just had to grab the tarp and pull the coat over the body. They'd be done in no time.
Maybe, but still.
Hina, after you met up with Makoto in the dining hall, did you two stay together from that point on?
Oh no. I headed off to the gym, and Makoto didn't show up till later.
Then he had plenty of time to spare, wouldn't you say?
That's not...
Don't bother saying it's not possible.
I must admit, Kyoko's reasoning is sound. Makoto's alibi is inadequate.
Suspicion falls back on me again. Why? Why is Kyoko trying to entrap me? I don't understand. This guy said body was not the truth.
Well then,
Yeah,
looks
truth
like
will
we're
know.
back to square one.
Wait,
Makoto's
the last
alibi is no good, so once again, our suspects are him and Kyoko.
For serious, man? Which one of them did it? Hey, why don't we let luck decide? Let's flip a coin. 50-50 odds.
Oh!
See? Pretty good idea, right?
No, not that. I just remembered something super serious.
Well, don't just stand there. Out with it.
You know that knife we found all black and burnt?
The one we found stuck in the body before it exploded, right? According to the Monokuma file, the knife went all the way through, from front to back. So, what about it?
I'm pretty sure I'd seen that knife somewhere before. That's what I thought when I first saw it. I just remembered.
Yeah, the knife makes me even more suspicious. Fantastic.
It's the knife we gave to Makoto?
You don't seem surprised. You must have noticed earlier.
Yeah,
Then why did you hide that fact?
it's not that I hid it. It's just...
Can't be sure what exactly happened last night. Thought maybe I really did kill her.
Suspicious! Very suspicious indeed. The knife we found stuck in the body came from Makoto. Now I'm totally convinced he did it. 12,000% convinced.
Seeing everything up till now, I should be able to make it clear. That's the proof I didn't murder anyone, not the kill. Who is the kill? What the hell was going on? Grab the body and put it down very quickly.
The knife we found lodged in the dead body. It's the same one we gave to Makoto. It really is, isn't it? I was afraid of that.
If he did have that knife before, then that seals it. Makoto did it!
Just because I had the knife once, that automatically makes me the killer?
Well, getting stabbed is what killed her, right?
Oh, no.
So there's no question. You took that knife of yours and killed her with it.
What a horrible man you are, Makoto.
Okay, so one of these has to go with the knife that you killed.
The knife we found lodged in the dead body. It's the same one we It really is, isn't it?
If he did have that knife, that seals it. Just because I had that automatic...
Well, getting stabbed is what killed her.
No,
Remember,
it's
it
wrong.
also says it was something like as strong as a metal pipe. Remember that?
Wait, hold on. The stab wound isn't what killed Mukuro. That should be clear from the description of the cover-up we just heard.
Lies! We never talked about what killed her!
No, don't you remember? The killer covered the dead body with the tarp and then put the bloody coat on it, right? In other words, the victim never wore that blood-stained coat until after they were dead.
Okay, fine. So what?
So, when we discovered the body, the knife had been thrust through the coat along with the body. Meaning, if she wasn't stabbed until the coat was put on, and she was already dead at that point, obviously the stab wound isn't what killed her.
Maybe you stabbed her twice. Once to kill her and once to cover it up.
You're trying to stab in the same spot? No way that's possible. You're asking somebody to turn down so everyone can see. Here?
I got it!
Okay.
The Monokuma file clearly states that there was only one stab wound.
Oh yeah, it sure did. Totally forgot about that.
Then the knife...
Was just another piece of camouflage set up by the true killer. They probably stabbed her to draw attention away from what actually killed her. Exploding the body afterward was probably meant to do the same thing. The explosion severely damaged the body, making it impossible to know what really killed her. It was all the killer's attempt to destroy all evidence of their crime.
So they wanted us to notice the stab wound and then detonated the body afterward. They meant for us to latch onto the knife as the cause of death, then destroy any evidence proving otherwise.
Oh, hey, I have a question. It kind of goes back to the beginning, but what's the deal with that explosion anyway? Why'd the body just blow up all of a sudden like that?
If you bothered to put that lump of gray matter between your ears to use, you'd know the answer.
Well, if you're so smart, just tell me.
I'll tell you. I bet some unknown quantum particle.
I might be dumb, but even I'm not dumb enough to believe that.
Go ahead, Makoto. Tell her or we won't make any headway on this.
Only one explanation I think of the explosion.
I got it! After the explosion, we found a tiny fragment of something on the ground near the body, right? That fragment reveals the cause of the explosion.
Huh? You know, I feel like I've seen something like it somewhere before.
That's only natural, because of course, we saw the same thing when we dismantled Monokuma. It's part of a bomb.
Oh! Then the explosion was because of the Monokuma bomb.
Anyway, the culprit's motive is becoming more and more obvious by the minute. They wanted the knife wound to look like the fatal injury so that we'd suspect Makoto. And the only one who would benefit from that is the only other possible suspect. You, Kyoko.
Hold on a second, Byakuya.
What's the problem?
Well, I just feel like we need to think this through. we still don't know what actually killed the victim.
That's true. It's definitely bugging me. What really killed her?
Fine. I have no problem with that. Let us continue the debate. It won't change the facts of the case regardless.
We need to determine what ultimately killed the victim and the consequences. It's the part where I said they're also like structural. Some of them just kick your metal pipe. Come on, from Power 5.
Then, shall we continue the debate? The victim's fatal injury has yet to be determined, correct?
The explosion didn't kill her for sure. Yes.
Well, yeah. She was already totally dead when that happened.
And it wasn't because of the knife, right? And then there's only one other thing.
Oh, yeah. According to the Monokuma file, that's gotta be it. There was evidence that showed she was hit on the back of her head.
And more than that, the victim had suffered countless wounds across her entire body. Then, shall we continue the debate? The victim's fatal injury has yet...
There you go.
No, it's wrong.
I thought the Monokuma Power 5 was just where it really says that.
Mukuro died because of the blow to the back of the head she suffered.
What about the wounds all over the rest of her body? They didn't have anything to do with it?
The Monokuma file makes it clear that those weren't fresh wounds.
Oh yeah, good point. If they were old, I guess they don't really matter.
Okay, then we're safe in assuming the blow to the back of her head is what killed her.
But then, what was the murder weapon? The Monokuma file says she was hit with a blunt object, about as thick as a metal pipe.
Oh! I bet it was the pickaxe!
How is that even possible? If you hit someone with that, it'd cave their skull in completely.
Well, maybe they held it the other way and hit her with the handle.
No way! The balance would be all off. You wouldn't be able to swing it with any kind of power. I wouldn't mind testing it on you if you want.
No thanks. I bet you just hit me with the metal end and call it an accident.
I'd love to scoop out that nasty brain of yours, throw it on the ground and spit on it.
I feel the same way. Looks like we're on the same page this time.
Seriously?
We want to figure out what killed her, right? It just so happens we already know.
We already know? I knew we could count on you, Master.
So what was it?
Go ahead and tell them, Makoto. Surely you've deduced the real murder weapon?
The real murder weapon is... Concerns the arrow, because they could have taken all the arrows, hidden them with the duct tape, and then bonk.
Mukuro was hit in the back of the head with something, and that's what killed her. And that something was the titanium arrow we found in the locker in the dojo.
Arrow? That's what the culprit attacked Mukuro with?
Indeed. There's no doubt about it.
Are you sure? That sounds kind of weird. Hey! How dare you backtalk, Master? You have no right! I'm not backtalking anything. I'm just saying what I think.
Don't blame me for doubting it, because there's one more thing about the weapon, one more secret.
The titanium arrow. It was in the dojo locker, right? I have no doubt that was the murder weapon.
Are you sure?
You don't sound convinced. What's the problem?
Well, because in the Monokuma file, it said the weapon must have been about as thick as a metal pipe, right? It seems like an arrow would just be too thin. Talking back to Master! You have no right!
The titanium, it was in the dojo. I have no doubt.
Are you sure?
You don't sound
Well, it said the weapon must have been about. It seems like an arrow would just be too.
No, it's wrong. You're right. Just the one arrow would have been too weak. That's why the killer used another weapon.
Another weapon?
Inside the dojo locker, we also found a balled-up wad of duct tape. The killer probably used this duct tape to bind multiple arrows together. Bundling them together using the duct tape would easily create a single weapon as thick as a pipe. And that's exactly what the killer did.
It's similar to Aesop's fable about the bundle of sticks. One stick is weak, but put them together and they become strong. It's meant to teach cooperation.
Damn, that's harsh.
How is it harsh? Are you even listening?
Anyway, that explains the murder weapon. As for who the culprit is that stashed the weapon in the dojo locker, it was you, Kyoko.
I've never been to the dojo.
Oh no, you absolutely have.
How can you say that with such confidence?
Because we have proof, of course. Don't we, Makoto? What's the matter? Surely you don't intend to protect a murderer. You know what will happen if you do, don't? If you cover for the culprit, there's only one thing that can lead to the death of us all.
Of course I remember.
Then show us. Show everyone the evidence that proves Kyoko went to the dojo.
I have evidence. When I took him to the dojo, right there.
I got it!
She's on that key in her room.
The one thing that proves Kyoko was in the dojo is right here. The key to the dojo locker.
And how does that prove anything?
Because I found it in your room.
It was in my room?
Don't bother trying to play dumb. That key is just the final piece of the puzzle. Your non-existent alibi, your clear motive, your attempts to frame Makoto for the crime. This all proves that you are the true culprit. You can't explain this away, so just give.
Hold on a second.
Not this again. You really are dead set on defending her, aren't you?
No, it's not that I want to defend her. It's just there's one more thing I need to ask her. Kyoko, I want you to tell me something. Last night, you were in my room, weren't you? Why? What were you doing there? That's what I need to know.
I was just protecting you.
What?
She's protecting me? And does that mean she knew I was being attacked? She came to my rescue. Would that be when... Couldn't mean that Kyoko killed someone for me.
That's enough. The time for idle chatter is over. A verdict is close at hand.
Wait, I'm warning you. Don't make this mistake. I'm not the killer.
I knew you were stubborn, but this is just getting ridiculous.
Really? But you should know better than anyone I didn't do it. Can you tell me I'm wrong?
I should know?
What? You should know better than anyone. What does that mean? Pickup sound?
Those words you just spoke. What do you mean?
Exactly what I said. I'm not the killer. You should understand that more than anyone here.
Byakuya, what are you hiding?
Master would never hide something from me!
There's proof that you aren't the culprit. Is that what you're saying?
You stated a theory earlier. You said I hid the evidence of my crime in the dojo locker, and then left the locker key in my own room, correct? But could I really have done that?
I don't think it's this. Okay, I think it's... reactor, right? Yes.
Those words you just spoke.
Exactly what I said. I'm not the killer. You should understand that more than anyone here.
Byakuya, what are you...
Master would never hide something.
There's proof that you aren't the culprit. Is that what you're saying?
You stated a theory earlier. You said I hid the evidence of and then left the locker key in my own room, correct?
Shoot!
Maybe I flip it?
Those words you just...
Exactly, I'm not, but you should understand.
Byakuya,
Master would never...
There's proof that you... Is that what you're...
You stated a theory. You said I hid the evidence of my and then left the locker key in my own room.
But could I really have done that?
Proof.
Those words you just...
Exactly, I'm not, but you should understand.
Byakuya, what are you...
Master would never hide...
there's proof that you aren't the culprit.
Harry.
No, that's wrong!
It had to be one of those two.
If I'm right, Kyoko wouldn't have been able to get into her room.
Why not?
Because she had given her room key to Byakuya.
I see. So that's what you meant. And if I had the key to your room...
Then obviously I had no way of getting in. Without my room key, I couldn't have possibly put the locker key in there myself. Am I wrong?
It would appear not.
Then you're finally starting to understand.
That's actually true. Wait a second. Kyoko already told us before that she always leaves her room unlocked, so she wouldn't need the key to get in. Wait, hold on, Kyoko. You're kind of lying there. There's a clear contradiction in what Kyoko just told us. An obvious lie. Yep, she always leaves her room unlocked. She doesn't need the key to get in. But she doesn't like her. To save herself with such a desperate lie. Do you really feel that threatened? She's the killer? Something else. What do you even mean? I didn't know what Kyoko said earlier. Mastermind's trap. Mastermind's trying to trap Kyoko, but that's not really true. What should I... Mastermind's trap. The victim was Mukuro and Kyoko killed her? What does Kyoko really know? What am I supposed to do? Kyoko's a lie. I'm the only one who knows it's a lie. The only one who can expose it. But who can I trust? What am I supposed to do? Mastermind's trap. What do I do? Decide right now whether or not to expose Kyoko's lie. Oh, this feels like they freaking did this. So here's what I'm thinking. I don't know who the killer is. I don't know if it's Kodo, I don't know if it's Kyoko. I do kind of understand what Kyoko means by mastermind like trap. Because here's the thing. It could be none of us. And the mastermind is trying to get one of us killed. And also, I feel like Kyoko would do a better job of uncovering the mastermind than Kodo would. So I'm gonna keep Kyoko alive. If we die, Kyoko is just gonna investigate it, she's gonna find who the killer is, everybody else can. So, made my decision. After believing Kyoko, there's no way she would kill someone. There has to be some secret here, something that has to do with the mastermind trap that killed
Well,
me.
does no one have a rebuttal? Have you decided to accept her assertion as fact? I see. So you still refuse to accept it. I suppose we have to admit that Kyoko didn't put the locker key in her room. That it was someone else.
So then I'm killed? So I'm just gonna die then? So
Who else could it have been?
I mean, Byakuya had a room key, right?
You! What are you trying to imply?
But of course, I have an alibi. From nighttime on, I was with you guys the entire time. I couldn't possibly have killed anyone, or put the key in Kyoko's room.
I'm gonna be the killer. Let me guess. You're just gonna all vote for me, and then I'm just going to die. That's what's about to happen.
Well, someone had to put the key in there.
There's only one other possibility I can think of. Someone could have had the key on them, then once they arrived at the scene, pretended to find it there.
It had to be Makoto, right?
I don't see any other option.
Wait a second. You've got it all wrong. Let's think about it one more time. There's gotta be a hidden side to this case.
Huh? A hidden side?
First of all, there's something off about this entire trial. You all see it, don't you? Mukuro, who we didn't even know existed, suddenly shows up dead. And then we're thrown into a trial. And Kyoko even said, it's a trap the mastermind set for us. So that's why this has to be...
Okay, time's up!
The freaking mean time's up. There's no freaking time limit.
Huh? Time's up! Class trial's all over! Everyone can stop talking now!
What do you mean time's
What?
up?
Time's up?
What do you mean time's up? There's no time's up. Since when have we...
It's because you were late! So we had to push back the start time! So then, it's time for voting time! Okay? Everyone, please vote using
yeah,
the
it's true.
lever in front of you!
I just realized, yeah, there is no killer. It has to be the mastermind's the one who set this up. Because the mastermind randomly just threw in a new rule out of nowhere, so there's a time limit. It doesn't matter that it started late. There was never a time limit in the first place. So, the mastermind realized that Makoto was in somewhere while it being neither of them, and that the mastermind did, and right when they realized that, they're like, okay, cancel. Kind of. So what if it's nobody? What if the mastermind was the actual killer? If so, what's gonna happen now?
Voting time?
to get voted. A, oh, B, frig. So close. I got a freaking B. That honestly wasn't that long of a trial. Compared to the other trials, that was pretty freaking short, not even an hour.
Now, who will be chosen as the blackened? Will you make the right choice or the dreadfully wrong? Hey, hold on! What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be?
Oh no, is Makoto gonna have to take the blame? I think Makoto's gonna have to take the blame, right? Right, oh, frick. Hold on. Okay, so what's gonna happen now? Because I'm pretty certain Makoto did not kill anybody. So what the frick happened? What? I'm the killer? Sorry, man. Sorry. It's all your fault. Come on, you're wrong. You got all wrong. I didn't do it.
Yes, indeed.
Good job, everybody.
Yep.
Good job. Yeah, they got it right. No, I don't think that's true. I didn't kill anyone. It makes any sense. This whole trial doesn't make any sense.
Hey!
It makes perfect sense. Same as always. Just like all the other class trials, I'm gonna end it the same way.
Chills!
Something else now. The mastermind twisted the rules. The mastermind lied that I was the killer just so they can keep things open. That's the interesting factor. Wait, why do I... Kyoko.
I don't expect you to forgive me. I know this is all my fault.
Kyoko?
Let's give it everything we've got! It's punishment time!
Well, for I guess I'm dead. Okay, game over. Game over, Makoto's about to die. Game over, Makoto's been found guilty in time for this one. Dude, what is my punishment? I'm the freaking ultimate lucky soon. What would my punishment be? Also, freaking game over. Guess this is it. Guess main character's dead. Game over. Oh no! Oh no! I'm about to get crushed. This isn't one. This has to be the worst one. The messiest one. It's a school lesson. In the code, you can just accept your death, I guess, because there's nothing we can really freaking do. This is a bunch of freaking bullcrap. The mastermind lied that I did it. They freaking lied that I did it, and now I'm about to die. Well, fantastic. Okay, well, goodbye, world. I did it. Crush, okay. What? Alter ego. Wait, hold on real quick. Hold on. No, Alter Ego just freaking saved us. You saw that? Alter Ego took control last second, stopped the press, and now we're just gonna fall to our death instead. Alter Ego just freaking saved us. Jeez. Okay, we hearts. Huh? What is this? What's going on? Hey, was that? It had to be. Alter Ego. Alter Ego. Some stupid virus and a stupid guy. I don't even invade my network. Damn it all. I don't believe this.
It would seem...
I made a miscalculation. They miscalculated from the very beginning.
What the heck?
What's that?
In other
What I'm
words...
saying is you shouldn't have underestimated us. You're talking like you've already won. Good. That's the thing. Hinted in. The virus is gone now, guys. So is Makoto. Maybe I didn't get the smash flat. You're never gonna see me again. Waste time. Waste away in a garbage. In a way that's an even better punishment. Still not enough. I'm still not satisfied. I'm still gonna bring spirit for the rest of you. The entire world. Gone. Kyoko, what's the meaning of all this? Just what the hell is going on?
Calm down.
Okay, we're not the ones being trapped this time. Huh?
In other
That's
words...
a mastermind that's in the snare.
What did you...
Talking about?
So...
You'll understand soon enough. Very soon indeed. Excuse me? I was expecting it to like pan down to like me just chilling in the garbage pit, like, okay, what do I do? But why is this is literally the first line of the entire game. I'll read it actually. Imagine high school towers all over the buildings in the urban area. Like a school stands at the center of the entire world. Yep, it's literally the beginning of the game again. Hope Big Academy. Students from every field imaginable, government-funded school of privilege. They say that if you come here, magic graduate will be sent to life. 20 of years of tradition sends the cream of the crop into the workforce every year. It was built to raise hope in the nation's future. Make Hope Peak a pretty fitting name. There are 2 things you need to attend this school. 1, you have to already be attending high school. 2, you have to be the very best at what you do. No ordinary students can enroll here. The only way is you're scout of the school itself. And standing there at the gate of the ultimate school filled with ultimate students was me. Okay, now here we are. What? Where am I? I woke up with my head resting on top of a hard-wooden desk. Body felt heavy. It wouldn't be weird for me to go off in the middle of some boring classroom, but what was I doing asleep just now? I was in a classroom I've never been in before. What the heck is going on? That's also a repeat from the beginning of the game. Jesus, this place is a mess. Finally, feel my mind and body start to come back together again, and then I was awake. It was just another dream. The dream inside a hopeless nightmare. This isn't a dream. I could tell, but the stench of invading my nostrils was too powerful for a dream. An awful smell. I was in a vast, dark cavern with the barest hint of light seeping in. Truth was piled high across the area. It would be some kind of underground garbage pit. Heck of a situation to find myself in. That one was just the beginning of my problems. Was I going to be stuck in there until I wasted away and died? Well, I can't be that. I can't let that happen. Now after what my good friend went through to save me, I remember all too well what happened. Alter Ego saved me. And he used up the last little bit of his strength to do this. So I can't give up now, for myself and for my friend. And my pursuit of survival began. First step was to start looking for a way out of here. Out of the door. Right away. How many times I pushed or pulled or kicked at it didn't budge. Getting out of here isn't going to be that easy. Well, if I'm not getting out of here anytime soon, let's have to look around for some food. There's plenty of food here, but it's all rotten. That's pointless too. Next, I search for some water. I'm gonna be sure which liquid I can drink and which ones are an all-around bad idea. Again, pointless. Like I'm blocked in on all sides. There's still not enough reason to give up. I'm still alive. Unless I'm alive, I'll never give up. Making that proud declaration, the next thing I decided to do was go to sleep. My sleep was deep and uninterrupted. That was the only way to preserve my little strength I had left, not being able to eat or drink. Can't be sure, but I think at least a full day I'd have to have passed. And all I did was sleep and sleep. It was like I was waiting for some kind of sign to come falling out of the sky. However, fall from the sky wasn't a sign, not exactly. But something did indeed fall from the sky. What the? A faint sound piercing my silent isolation, jarring me awake. I watched a pile of garbage jostled and formed an odd shape. Something fall over down here? Something fell from like above. Dead then. Giant piece of trash that fall down here. I stuck my hand out towards it, and quickly I reached my hand out towards it, whoever it was that had tumbled down here with me.
Just a second.
Giant piece of trash, how rude. She even emerged from the pile of garbage and knew who it was.
It smells...
This place smells awful. Yoko.
Indeed.
You freaking jumped into a trash bag and jumped into the garbage pit? Like you're doing better than I expected. What are you doing here? Isn't it obvious? I'm here to help you. I had to hear that, Kyoko. You got a bit of garbage in your hand. Saber had a quick, sharp shake to get rid of the trash and face me again.
Hey.
First, I have something for you. Go ahead and eat it. We can talk once you're finished. Thank you. I snatched the bread and water that she was holding out for me. In seconds, it was in my mouth and making its way towards my stomach. I really hit the spot. I've got all the energy I need to keep going. You still haven't given up then? Of course not. For all the fact that I can keep moving forward is about all I'm good at. That's not such a bad thing to be good at. Hey, Kyoko, why'd you come to rescue me?
So...
Pay a debt, or no, to atone. Tone.
You...
During the trial, even though you knew I was lying, you didn't say anything. So you knew that I knew.
Indeed.
Even though I knew, I did nothing to help you. I abandoned you. Don't say that, you didn't abandon me. That's exactly what I did. I abandoned you in order to save my own life. You're trying to save me, and I couldn't bring myself to do the same for you.
However...
Listen, not that I'm trying to make excuses, but there's a reason I had to survive no matter what cost. Your reaction! Why do you have to survive?
It's true.
I'll tell you everything. The reason I have to survive.
In other words,
So that I can do what I came to the school to do. What? I made up my mind I came to Hope Peak Academy for one very important reason. Reaction! So you have some reason for coming to Hope Peak?
Indeed.
That's right, at least I did once.
I-
Once. But recently I forgot what it was. You forgot, but that's... Then is it really true you lost your memory?
Makoto.
Remember, Makoto? Remember the first thing that happened to each of us as soon as we arrived at this school? First thing. Talking about when we fainted, right? I fainted, and when I woke up, I was trapped here.
That's right.
I fainted too, and when I woke up, I noticed a strange feeling of separation within myself, a
It
disconnect.
would seem...
Thinking back on it now, at that point my memory was gone. At that time I'd forgotten. I couldn't remember why I'd come to the school, and I couldn't remember what my ultimate ability was. What would make you forget all
Hey.
that? Strange, isn't it? It's hard to imagine it happened by chance. It seems too convenient. Are you saying you think you lost your memory because...
Indeed.
I don't think I'm positive they were working on mastermind. They stole my memory. Why would they want to do that? Only one reason I can come up with. Because my purpose and my ability, and how they would interfere with the mastermind's plans. The mastermind just stole them from you?
However,
It could also mean some of my memories may be connected to the mysteries of the school and the mastermind. That's why I have to get them back. So I've been investigating things by myself this whole time. If what you say is true, why didn't you ask the rest of us to help you?
why is that?
If I did that and we all worked as one, the mastermind would have known us right away. Plus, there's always the chance that the mastermind is all actually one of us.
Correct.
No, don't make too big of a deal of it. It's such a possibility. If it is a possibility, we can't ignore it, right? Mastermind one of us. She believes that. Of course she wouldn't trust anyone around her. In which case, it only makes sense that we would look into her missing memory by herself.
However,
That being said, there was a limit to what I could do by myself, which is why I asked you to help me. Why me? Among everyone, you were at least likely to be the mastermind. That was just intuition, but let's see. Intuition was right there. There's no way an ordinary kid like you could actually be the mastermind.
I understand. I should. My
It's the same
God,
thing
it's.
as before. Yeah, it's like the dream I had before, but why did this just happen?
listen.
Okay? Yeah, it's nothing. It is nothing, right?
Hey,
Even though I still trust you, you know? It's just, I'm not used to relying on others.
correct.
I know I never asked for help the right way. I understand if you're not convinced. Honestly, I was convinced. I think that's just her personality. So you had a reason for doing all the investigation on your own. How'd that turn out? Were you able to remember anything? I
So,
think there's still a lot I don't remember, but at the very least, I was finally able to recall my purpose and my ability. Reaction. When you mentioned your ability, my ability was everyone should have known the ultimate detective. Okay, that makes sense. That seems reasonable. Ultimate, well, because she knows everything about literally every trial, and she's really fine with really touching a dead body. That makes sense.
correct.
The reason I came to Holistic Academy, for some reason I had to find her in the school. Oh, frick,
Correct.
So I had to find reaction. I had to find someone. Who?
So,
Well, he's the headmaster. Hopefully, the headmaster. Why do you want to find the headmaster? Because he's my father. That's interesting. What?
in other
I
words,
separated from him as a child. As it turns out, he became the headmaster of Hope Peak. His dad is Hope Peak headmaster. I explained when all three were told us he thought the headmaster was involved.
no matter.
So,
My memory hadn't come back at that point, but when I said that, I felt strange. It made perfect sense now, of course, since the whole purpose for coming here was to find him. Makes
However,
sense. Listen, Makoto, I want to make this perfectly clear so there's no misunderstanding. I said the headmaster wasn't the mastermind, but I didn't say that to protect him. And I said what I felt because on what I'd seen when I snuck into the headmaster's room. What did you see in there?
so,
The room had been ransacked, the shelves were a mess, desk drawers dumped on the floor. My conclusion is that someone who didn't know where anything was had been in there. I mean the mastermind, right?
it's true.
That was my assumption, yes, and to confirm my suspicion, I decided to investigate the second floor of the dorm using the key I found. But why there? I also found this in the headmaster's room. This is some kind of map.
Indeed.
The layout of the entirety of Hope Peak Academy. I found in the headmaster's room along with the nuclear profile and my key. And I'm sure that the second floor was home to a number of rooms meant for faculty use. Some of the staff must have had to stay overnight from time to time. And I figured the headmaster would have some kind of private room there. Assuming that if that were true, the room would likely hold more clues I want to check.
Correct.
That's when I finally remembered. I remember that my first wish was to find my owner of that room. So I went there to see if the headmaster really had have a private room.
However,
Once I got there, I noticed that the second floor dorm was kind of reaction. What was it like? The part of school, I mean. Hard to describe, all I can say. When I saw it, I realized what's going on in this school is more horrific than we ever imagined. I mean,
So...
I can't explain it, you need to see it for yourself. I'm sure you'll get the chance to soon enough. I think it must be important, really ominous.
However...
First one thing okay, there's something else. Well, I had no idea what was going on with it. Reaction! It has to do with Muko,
However...
doesn't it? To be perfectly clear, I didn't kill her. I know it wasn't you either. I know you're right, that just means everybody but me and you had an alibi, so I did kill
Anyway...
her. Say for sure is that the mastermind is directly involved. To begin with, the point of the class trial of Mukuro Sabo was to get him killed. You killed
Indeed.
him. I stole that key and disappeared, and in retaliation wanted to draw me out and eliminate me.
Correct.
That was the point of the class trial. The mastermind knew they couldn't interfere directly. I mean, because of school regulations.
That's right.
Exactly.
In other words...
The mastermind is adamant about following the rules, and with that rule in place, they couldn't step in. Since they couldn't kill me themselves, they tried to use the class trial to do it. That's why I couldn't step in because of the rules. It makes it sound like the mastermind themselves is somehow bound to school regulations. There's one other thing I'd like to put out about the murder of Mukuro Kusaba. Is that there's a point where Mukuro may not have been a victim. Could have been you, Mukuro, in action. Could have been a victim. You know what I'm talking about, right? Do you mean in a night?
I
can hear them, you know. Footsteps of the god of death. What? I hear the god of death moves. That building naturally draws me to cases such as...
Anyway...
Exactly what happened with you. I was in the dorms and I sensed a sense of dread. I looked down the stairwell and I saw a white shadow cross the corridor. I gave chase right away as I followed it. I saw the shadow go into your room.
Correct.
I ran into your room and I saw what was happening. I intervened immediately, of course.
However...
That wasn't the end of things, of course. I stopped them, but that led to where the masked assailant was and he was dead.
Correct.
Their murder was disguised, and the dojo key wound up in my room. It all had to be the work of the mastermind in an attempt to use the class trial to eliminate reaction. There's a lot of freaking reaction. It also means that whoever killed Mukuro,
Indeed.
It would actually be mastermind, right? Okay, I don't have conclusive evidence, that's what I think. But if that really is true, it means the mastermind can kill whoever they want if they feel like it. Isn't that great? Another contradiction? The mastermind wanted to use the class trial to try and kill you so they can interfere,
Correct.
right? Right, that is a contradiction. It's not just Mukuro. He made the class try to kill me, but he was ready to kill you in your room. Everything they did is a contradiction.
In other words...
mean that the mastermind is the one who's been cornered, no?
Makoto.
This is a little more, and I should be able to figure out the mastermind's identity. Identity of their ultimate despair. There's no doubt that Mukuro was the ultimate despair and that she's dead. I don't think that ultimate despair is just one person. It's not.
Indeed.
Think about it, ultimate despair seems to implicate whoever caused that event.
That's right.
After years, the biggest and ultimate tragic event in history. Tragedy, whoever was responsible for that, the ultimate despair. The despicable group whose only purpose and motivation comes from despair.
Indeed.
And there, make no mistake. There's a root of all evil that was forced to go through, to make us go through this. That is the ultimate despair. And that is our real enemy. We're almost there! We're almost at the end! Almost at the end of the game. Here we go. Got only one chapter to go. We're now done with chapter 5. We only have one more chapter left in this game. Chapter 6. After this chapter, this is the final chapter in the game right here. And I would like to save my data. Right now. Despair. People who caused the tragedy 1 year ago. The same people put together this killing game and broadcasting around the world. Most desperately awesome people ever. As the mastermind's true identity, our enemy is not only being revealed. Right now,
Anyway...
we have to get out of this whole place. Figuring out the rest of the story can come later. Yeah, you're right. Wait, Coco, use your key on this. Coco's the key that really opens every door. We can still have that thing. Maybe secret code that you got from the headmaster.
Indeed.
Of course I did. And that's a vital part when it's snaring the mastermind. I would never part with it. You can open anywhere in the school, right?
That's right.
Right. You should be able to use it on that door, right? Yes. Coco, you can use that key of yours to open the store, right?
It's true.
Find out. So they took out the key from one point in time and slid into the keyhole and then gets it open.
Indeed.
Now we can get out of here still. Sounds good. We'll open the door and make our escape to the garbage pit. Finally, we were finally free, but there wasn't even time to take a breath of relief because the real fight had just begun. Here we go, Chapter 6. Ultimate pain, ultimate suffering, ultimate despair, ultimate execution, ultimate death. Here we go. This is the final chapter of the game. We're almost finally freaking done. Jesus. Leaving the garbage pit, we found ourselves in a tunnel extending straight up like a chimney, with a metal ladder leading up into the tunnel. We started climbing the ladder, intending on reaching the surface. The ladder was impossibly long. I couldn't even see where it ended. I climbed into the darkness. The passage was so dark and cramped, I couldn't even see my own feet beneath me. I had no idea we were so far down. Don't lose your footing. If you slip, I won't be able to catch you. Yeah, I'll be careful. Now they said I'm getting kind of nervous. Maybe talking will help keep my mind off it. So, Kyoko, there's something I wanted to ask you. You said you're the ultimate detective, right? So how long have you been doing detective work? How long?
So...
Ever since I can remember. I came from a long line of detectives. Detective work was in my blood. There was a time when being a detective was considered a sacred duty. My family's always seen it that way. Is your family famous?
Wrong.
Quite the opposite, actually. Even among actual detectives, many people haven't heard of us. But how come? It's like your family tradition, right? So...
Right.
Because we take pride in it. Pride.
Indeed.
Detective is neither light nor shadow. We represent neither justice nor evil. This is how we can uncover the absolute truth. We stand neutral in all things, and to do that, we have to stand separate from the rest of society. Which is why we've made a conscious effort to conceal our existence.
It's true.
Effort. Kind of old-fashioned, and I can't say it's entirely rational. It's our family's creed, and we do what we must do to protect it. Because like I said, it's our source of pride. Pride. That explains... If I came here when I was looking up info about the school online, I never saw anything about her. She hid herself on purpose to protect the pride of her family.
However...
And yet, gave up on some of that pride. Huh?
In
order to enter Hope Peak Academy, I had to reveal myself to the school. I did it knowing it was something a true Kirigiri detective would never do. The reason you gave up that pride, the reason you would go so far to enter Hope's Peak, because that's how you wanted to reconnect with your dad, right? There's no shame in that.
What?
Reconnect? I had absolutely no desire to reconnect with my father. Huh? They'd be reuniting after all those years, right? You wouldn't have there's so much to talk
Wrong.
about. There's nothing I want to talk to my father about. There's something I want to say to him, though. What? No matter what it takes, I have to find him and tell him face to face. What is it?
So...
I want to sever all ties with him. Sever? Last time I saw him, I was still very young. I don't remember myself, but apparently he was extremely intelligent. He was the line to become the next head of the Kirigiri family. He was talented, he had a promising future. He had no interest in detective work, so he cut himself off from the family. Long after that, my mother died, and he simply ran away. I went to my grandfather, and they had a huge argument. And young as I was, he left me behind. I'm sure there was a reason for that. I'm sure Dad wanted to take you with him.
Right.
If that's true, then I need to thank him. Thank him for leaving me. Because unlike him, I take pride in the work I do. I take pride in my family name. So every last part of me is happy he didn't take me with him. If I'd gone with him, I never would have had the chance to become a detective. I was above Kyoko on the ladder, so I wasn't able to see her expressions. I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell how she looked when she said that, what she might have been feeling. All I could tell was that compared to her usual self, she was more talkative, more emotional. I don't blame him, he had his own life to live. That's what anyone in my position might say, right? But it's not true. There's one thing that I can never forgive. Really?
So...
The way everyone else looked at him. They looked at me. I was never sad about being left behind. Like I said, I think it was a good thing.
However...
When the rest of my family looked at me, they saw something different. They only saw me as the little girl that was abandoned by her father. That's how they see me, even to this day. The shadow has been following me my entire life. I'm sick of it. I need him out of my life. I need to step out of this shadow. That's why I have to find him and tell him we're no longer family. In order to settle the past. In order to remove him from my life entirely. I have no doubt he forgot about me years ago. Your family to just cut him out like that.
Wrong.
Our own connection is through blood, nothing more. Am I connected by heart and soul?
Hey.
No. Is blood really enough to call someone family? I'm connected by blood, but not by heart or soul. So shocked to hear her say something like that, I didn't know how to respond. So instead, I said nothing. I just kept climbing the ladder in complete silence, and after I didn't know how long, we finally reached the top. Looks like this is
Indeed.
it. On the other side of the store, Hope Peak Academy waits for us.
That's right.
Remember the hatch on the ground near the trash room? Fairly certain that's where we'll come out. I unlocked it earlier, so it should open without much trouble. Here goes nothing. I reached my right hand and pushed against the hatch. Hatch opened with ease, and so... Looks like we're back. I can't believe how long that ladder was. I'm exhausted. I can't exactly say we're safe and sound. Yeah, at least we're out here. I'm back in Hope Peak Academy. Coco, thank you. I never would have gotten out of here without you. No thanks necessary. I was just returning the favor. Now what do we do? I didn't die, of course, but if the master finds out, I'm worried about you, too. You helped me, so they might...
Listen.
You're worried? Yeah, of course.
So then...
Let me just get a concrete answer. Huh?
In other words...
That's Monokuma for the problem she's doing. Wait, that's...
However...
Instead of hide, it's only a matter of time. You'll find out. It's not like we can run away. She said that she pointed the nearby stones now. She's saying rather than stressing all over getting caught, we should just give up now. Alright, what do you think is going to happen?
Because...
The mouse is the only one that's ensnared. The mouse is ensnared. There's anything like that before. What does it mean?
So...
The mastermind stood exposed during the investigation like Nico's death. There's a moment where the mastermind let her guard down. Their guard down.
Right.
That it was. We can talk to Monokuma, we can confirm it. It would be better for us if we go to him directly before he tracks us down. I could help with our negotiations. So we're super uneasy about this, but we don't really have a choice, do
Indeed.
we should be
Shall we go?
Let's get going. Okay. So we're getting to a certain part in this game, that's all I'm saying. Hurry up. Go to Z Gym. Go to Z Gym. Go to Z Gym. Go to Z Gym.
Well now.
Hey. I don't mind so much.
I don't believe it!
It's dead. What he's doing here? Okay, I thought you'd react. You gonna be okay? Let's be punished. Did Kyoto help you?
What?
If I did, what would you do? If you party is exposure in the class trial, the one will be executed. Unfortunately, that is the rule. Now I'm gonna punish you again, and this time I won't have anything in the chance.
Right.
Kyoto, do whatever you feel you have to. What?
However...
Before you do, let me just say one thing.
No.
If you execute the code, that means you lose. I think I'm married to you, right?
Hey!
You explain yourself. What do you mean by that?
Because...
Except this way is class trial yourself, right? I was getting in your way, so you wanted to execute me.
In other words...
You're supposed to be chosen as a black and executed, right? What are you talking about?
However...
When Makoto chose to overlook my lie, your plan came crashing down. The welcome trial weren't at all what you expected. You never imagined that in that position, one person would protect another.
Right.
In response to that unexpected development,
Indeed.
you got beat by proclaiming Makoto black and tried to execute him. You made the choice out of desperation and no more than that. You realized that Makoto refused to be manipulated was a threat to you as well.
However...
But then there was another unexpected development waiting for you. Entity that will throw a wrench, so to speak, starts the execution machine your alter ego. Never imagine the possibility of a being that could come to your heart aid in after you kill.
Am I wrong?
Here's the absolute truth. Makoto didn't kill me, bro. You did.
Listen to me.
Executing Makoto would surely be a violation of your rules, and I know you love it so much. If the blackness of both is exposed, they won't be executed. That's what you told us, right? And that means I lose? It's like a big game. You're saying the blackness is me and not Makoto.
Well?
And you can prove this, right?
Well...
I can't just say it like that. This is a comedy routine that makes such bold claims without shred evidence.
That doesn't matter.
I'm having you right now, but with a little more time, I guarantee I'll find something.
That's right.
But no matter how deeply we try to bury it, there is only ever one absolute truth. I'm not trying to talk like you have games to protect
Because...
Makoto really was the killer. He never would have come to you willingly like this. He would have feared for his life, feared another execution. He would have tried to run and hide. He would have been stricken by the despair you so loved.
However...
Here we are, nothing but hope in our hearts.
What the heck?
Trust me, nothing against me.
Indeed.
Since the evidence. It's not you I'm trying to convince.
Hey.
If you were to execute Makoto now, everyone out here watching this would be extremely displeased. Huh?
Indeed.
Imagine everyone out there would think you killed Makoto. But assume that you killed him because you said it. You said it's exactly
Listen
right.
to me.
Despair can never kill hope.
Hey.
Of course, you can say that you're just making this all up. You're walking with what's wrong. No, you have no choice but to prove it. Because if you kill Makoto without proving your own innocence, you'll be accepting your own defeat. You want to earn our despair fair.
That's what we have to do.
Take my advice. So what is this advice of yours?
It's true.
To do Muro's trial over again. Only this time, follow the school regulations to ensure a fair trial.
It's time for one last showdown. One final battle between hope and despair. Hey.
Well, that would make for a proper climax, would you say? Fair trial, one last showdown, in other words. We are our chance to expose the true identity of Muko's killer, the Mastermind themselves. The reason would the Mastermind have to accept the challenge? They'll probably just execute me without another word. Interesting.
Barrett!
Very interesting indeed. Barry.
What's wrong?
I was getting forced, so I decided to change things up a little, so time for bear jokes. I suggested it might be plausible. It would certainly make for one honey the climax.
In other
I mean,
words,
you accept?
You
If
guys!
you things your way, there'll be enough comedy. Enough to convince you and the viewers, right? And it would cause you unbearable despair, right? Despair, if you're Your hopeful analysis of my despair.
I can barely
Grizzly
contend.
showdown. We agreed. Since I have a shot at this.
Barrett!
Still a long way to climax, right? Guess me killer, then barely.
You guys!
For this final phase off, you have to unearth all the mysteries that have been buried. All the mysteries? That's right, every last mystery that's falling around this school.
I can barely
That'll be enough to
contain
go past a
myself.
victory for you.
it's true.
We've been trying to do all along. Okay, well, good, then let's bear it all. You can claw your way to the truth of Muko's death and solve the mystery.
You guys!
Then you win. You can't do all that. Well, face execution, right? Really catching my excitement. You learn the whole truth. What kind of despair will you show me? We're as excited as you are.
Listen to me.
And we've uncovered every last truth. How will the ultimate despair reveal their own despair? I honestly can't believe how this has all turned out.
Hey,
Before we get started, I want to clarify one more thing. You remember the rule? One student kills another, that's when a class trial is held?
What's wrong?
Remember that for sure. For
Hey.
what? I want to confirm that is what you said, right? And it's a true statement. You don't have to be so suspicious, I've said before, but it's very repeating. Everything is based on the school regulations. The trial for Muko is no exception in that. Well, Muko's trial is no exception in it. It's part of the regulations. Yeah, I mean that whoever killed Muko. It's a very polarizing approach, I know, but okay, enough fun. Anyway, here's the hint. Sure, I told you this already, but it's killing game with 16 participants, all of them in the high school students. The only people who take a single step in the essentially killing the man are those 16 students. What?
listen.
They're telling the truth. Why did you go quiet all of a sudden?
Now
I'm done talking, I got nothing to say. So get lost with you. I'm so mad. I'm emotionally unstable.
Hey!
Leave me alone, get out of here. Yeah, I'm going, it's just... You're really gonna let me go? I'm not even care anymore. You're all gonna get your punishment later on. You need to start getting you ready. A super duper extra special punishment. Flow me with despair.
Hey,
Okay, let's go. Okay. Rakun's unstable laughter seemed to cling to us as we walked away. Just like that, we were out of the gym. Okay, then. I could hardly believe it, but somehow I ended up not getting executed. It's just, I still had my life, and we still had a chance. Well, things turned out way better than expected. Once again, I was in Kyoko's debt. Kyoko, thank you. Everything I have right now is because
however,
of you. Don't thank you just yet. The real battle is still ahead of us. Yeah, true. Still, I'm glad it worked out. I'm not sure if the enemy would have accepted the proposal. But honestly, why would the Mastermind agree to that? I mean, they don't stand to gain anything from the final showdown, do they?
so,
They have no choice but to accept, huh?
because,
Look at that one moment that the Mastermind left on their guard, like I said. Reaction! Someone was that the Mastermind let their guard down. I
so,
wasn't there to hear it myself, but do you remember what the Mastermind said? He said that they hijacked the airwaves to broadcast their school to the outside world, right? They definitely said that.
listen.
What did you think when you heard that? Pretty hard to believe, right? I mean, the idea of actually believing that taking over the airwaves is unbelievable.
Indeed.
I don't exactly read about something like that happening very often, so it's hard to imagine. In other words, that kind of thing is extremely difficult to pull off.
However,
Yet somehow the Mastermind is able to do it.
in other words,
Think of it another way. There must have been some reason they had to do something like that.
so,
They had to show the world something, no matter the cause. It's killing each other. They wanted to show the
it
world.
would seem,
Mastermind is very dumb by not killing us directly, but forcing us to kill each other. All the rules and regulations were designed to encourage that. That makes sense. If those stupid regulations didn't exist, we wouldn't kill anybody.
in other words,
The Mastermind's ultimate goal to make us kill each other and show that off to the world. But why?
correct.
Prove a point, most likely. Prove a point.
Hey,
Outside world is a name for the students. Hope's Peak, right? A certain concept. Talking about hope, right?
that's right.
For those of us who represent hope, to kill each other and sink in despair. The Mastermind wants the world to see that, to try and prove despair is better than hope. That's their goal, is to ultimate despair. They want to prove that despair is better than hope, but that's ridiculous.
It's true.
Right, it is ridiculous, completely irrational. The kind of thing that nobody but those who call themselves ultimate despair would devise. A group whose only purpose and motivation comes from despair. But is that really their only reason for making the rest of us suffer?
Makoto,
I know how angry it must make you, and yet that same motivation is what led to the Mastermind revealing their weakness. What?
in other words,
As their goal is to broadcast this killing game to the world. The Mastermind has had to be more particular than is reasonable about their own regulations. If the Mastermind simply ignored the rules, it would have been a game, the one-sided
At
slaughter.
the very
That's
least,
how those who are watching it would seem. And that's why the Mastermind couldn't kill any of us themselves.
indeed.
That's absolutely the reason. No matter how much they hate what I'm doing, I haven't violated a single one of the regulations. Junko broke the rules, so she was punished. In the case, they couldn't lay a finger on me.
Right.
So instead, they tried to use a class trial following all their preparation to get me killed. They began a trial that didn't have a right answer. It made me out to be the killer. But even that didn't work.
It's true.
Yes, thank you. Thanks to you. Due to that failure, the Mastermind took yet another risk. He attempted to kill you instead, who also was not the killer. When that fact was exposed on live TV to the entire outside world, the Mastermind had to accept your suggestion.
Indeed.
Suggestion? But for the world that despair is better than hope, they had to defeat us in the perfect
In other
form.
words,
It only do the Mastermind harm to have it show that they violated their own regulations. Well, that was a hunch, right? And we were still able to get the Mastermind to be able
However,
to accept. It's only thanks to you that we got the chance. They believed in me, another path opened up. But I can't believe how much the Mastermind's thoughts and plans they were able to figure out. We didn't have the slightest clue.
wrong.
In the end, though, I couldn't prove any of it. It was just my reasoning, essentially. I was making facts. Looks like I got it right that time. At least I won the bet. Without a quick sigh, I took it as a small kind of relief. To be honest, I haven't been that nervous in a long time. I totally couldn't tell you were nervous at all. You seemed totally confident from the moment we decided to go talk to him. Presenting a strong demeanor is a fundamental part of negotiation and persuasion, wouldn't you say? Well, if I'd shown my uneasiness, that would have just made you that much more uneasy. Yeah, you're probably right.
However,
anyway, we can't relax this yet. All we've done is earn another chance to fight. We have to win this.
Correct.
Everything we've gone through will have been for nothing. You're right. Can't defeat that Mastermind. It's hard to cost our lives. There's no option except to win. Before we begin the final battle, we have to tell the others what's going on. True, but now we know who our real enemy is. All we have to do now is work together with everyone to destroy the Mastermind. Work together with everyone.
However,
Is that really possible? Huh?
Anyway,
Because right now we have to go find the others.
Shall we go?
They're probably in the dorm somewhere. Shall we go? Okay. Probably, I'm assuming, in the dining hall. That seems like the most obvious likely place for it to be. Oh, dining hall. Yes. And so we were greeted with you again. First set, Expeller 1092155. Keep rolling. Ability reaches limit. AG3 for something I 61. Geez, what the heck?
However,
What was that all about? Can't help but well aside for relief. Ah.
Is that Makoto?
You guys!
It is! There's no two ways about it. That's Makoto.
You survived?
Jeez. You're like a stubborn little cockroach, you know that?
I'm just asking to make sure, but you're not a ghost, right?
Everyone was all there, all my friends, so I'd struggled to get them survived. When I saw their faces, I couldn't help myself and started to tear up.
What?
Hey, what's that smell?
What the heck?
Man, it seriously stinks. It smells like a wet dog. Wait, shoo. And in a flash, my tears dried up.
Makoto.
No time to indulge in an extended happy reunion. I need to explain to everyone what really happened.
Yes.
Come on. Explain what? It's okay that you're here. What if the Mastermind catches you?
It's true.
That was right away we have to tell you about the reaction. I need to tell you all about the last class trial.
In other
We're going to
words,
redo Muko's trial.
Huh?
What, seriously?
How about that?
What are we doing? Muko killed her, right? No, I didn't do it, like I kept telling you.
wrong.
Muko isn't the killer, and of course it's not me or any of you. And who is it?
I see.
What she's trying to say is it was all the work of the Mastermind.
Huh?
You're saying the Mastermind killed me.
That's right.
That's right, it was all an elaborate trap conceived by the Mastermind. Will spotted the trap this time and did what we had to
However,
do to stop it. The decision meant that he would be the one to die.
What did
Spotted
you
the
say?
trap, did you, Makoto? It sounded like it was easy, I just,
However,
Eventually, Makoto, who wasn't the Black Man, is in clear violation of school regulations. The rule states that only the Black Man is to be executed. The Mastermind broke their own rule. Which is why I went in and negotiated with them to have the trial one more time. The Mastermind agreed. Does that mean they really did break the rules? They had no choice but to agree. You used the TV broadcast to gain the leverage you needed, didn't you?
correct.
Very observant.
Naturally.
I recall you said at the end of the last class trial. You said now it's the Mastermind that's in the snare. So you were referring to.
Don't be mean!
Pulling in the dark here. Anyone who doesn't understand, you can ask Kyoko what's going to Knowing all this, what do we do now?
About that.
Well, we killed Miko, right? So our job is to close the master. There's more to it than that, correct? Yeah. But to win this, I have to solve every last mystery surrounding the school.
Huh?
Every last mystery. We've been looking around all this time. We didn't, and we still don't know anything, right?
Anyway,
You probably guessed already, but if we lose this time, everyone loses. Everyone. So you can't agree to those terms without talking to the rest of us. Things the way they are. I'm fine living here together with Master. I, meanwhile, want to get out of here as soon as possible.
anyway.
But at this point, the only way for us to survive is right now with the two. In other words,
Interesting.
one decisive final battle, or rather, interesting development, I'd say.
But
Figuring out who the mastermind is, and how they killed Miko, and all the school's mysteries. Pretty tall friggin' order. Maybe, but this time, the trial is different. We know we're enemies, so if we work together and search as hard as we can, I'm sure we'll find those mysteries. Solve those mysteries. Not so sure about that. Huh?
I
can't agree with the idea of working together with everyone. Reaction! Can't agree, why not? I mean, working together with them seems like the most obvious way to solve the mysteries.
Indeed.
That's what I thought too at first, until Monokuma gave us that little hint of it. You already know, it just freaking happened.
I see.
Monokuma said that, didn't he? That in Kyoko's opinion is perfectly reasonable. But why?
So, in other
the mastermind
words,
really is one who killed Miko, and Kyoko says. The mastermind would have had to set foot in the school, right? Monokuma could probably murder Mukuro, but there's no way he would have disguised a scene like that.
in other words,
According to Monokuma, the only people who have set foot in the post-peak are the 16 students who've been taking part of the killing game. And the mastermind is... There are 15 of us in the main hall at the very beginning, and in Mukuro, you get 16. The mastermind is one of them.
that's right.
And those 16 people we started out with, the only one still alive, is staying right here. Should I continue, or do I need to do this? You think the mastermind's one of us?
no way!
Be serious. Hey, we can't be for sure it's true yet. Monokuma might have just said all that to confuse us.
Indeed.
It's only a possibility, but only one among many. The mastermind being one of us is also a possibility. And that is one possibility we can't ignore. Yeah, I mean, there's an alternate, right? There's an alternate, right? For all for the spirits, it must be a high school. Can't say it's not possible. If one was with the mastermind, they have to be controlling Monokuma somehow, right? If you ever see anyone act suspicious in time, in the back,
Well,
maybe they snuck off and controlled them in secret. I don't know how sneaky you are. We wouldn't have noticed someone sneaking off the Batman.
I'm right, right?
Monokuma was an autopilot. Maybe they locked up with the dialogue and acted beforehand. In that case, there was no way we could have had all those back and forth conversations with us. It wouldn't be entirely possible if they directed the flow of the conversation. Well, maybe, but still. You're not Bing Bong? What is this for?
This is a school announcement. You've all probably figured this out by now, but at this point, the killing game has now entered true ending mode.
I like how they actually had to say, I like how they actually had to say, this is the actual ending.
So, in the name of fairness, I will unlock every room in the school. Look wherever you want. Solve the mystery in whatever way you see fit.
Nice. We can frickin' go anywhere now.
Then we can all meet up at the class trial, okay?
I'm very magnanimous of him to unlock all the
That's
rooms.
fine.
Time for talk is done. Now we need to begin our investigation. But planning on working alone from the beginning
In the
anyways.
name of my
That's why I can
family.
rely only on myself on the Togami blood flowing through my veins. No time to worry about the rest of you. Give you must uphold your
Goodbye.
responsibility. Well then. Making his final statement, practically left the dining hall. Hey, Master, take me with him.
Hey!
You blame him. Oh, Master, the rest of you are like coffee with cream without the cream. Coffee. Totally useless. So, bye. That Toko charged out into the dining hall. Now she's gone. You're gonna go out by yourselves too, right, Kyoko?
Indeed.
That's right. Which just leaves me Koto Hina and me.
You know?
In that case, I'm gonna go by myself too.
just a second.
Hey, how come?
How about that?
Just wait and see. I'm gonna use my totally awesome spirit power to figure out the mastermind's identity. Acting wildly, Hiro left the dining hall.
Aww.
Are they gonna go out by themselves? What about you, Hina? I guess I'll do the same thing.
But,
I mean, it's not that I don't trust everyone, you know.
cause, I
Until
mean,
now, I haven't really been able to be useful. Just depend on Sakura and everyone else. I'm not useless. If you hadn't been here, I would have died. Koto, it's really nice of you to say.
but,
Still, I know I've mostly been totally useless.
okay.
Maybe at least here at the end, maybe I can figure out something to help us get out of here. I'll go off and do it all on my own. Okay, see you later. surprisingly high spirits as you guys have a dynamo. Once again, it's just us two.
Indeed.
So you're gonna go off on your own too, right? Joker?
However,
Don't misunderstand. Because we're going to do our searches separately doesn't mean we can't still work together.
so...
That goes for all of us. I think I see what you mean. Doing our own investigation doesn't mean we can't work together in the end. I should just see it as a splitting if we cover more ground. Never can get back together and share with you. That's right.
So then...
I better get going. I have an endless list of things I need to check.
Correct.
I'm going to install the doors and the schools have been unlocked, right? So we should be able to investigate every nook and cranny of the school. These are all the places we've been
Makoto.
before. So no matter what it takes, we have to uncover the truth by any means necessary. Without that Gyoko's gone, I don't have time to waste either. Looking my search, it's looking like the mastermind might be one of us. So that's what I have to prove. I'll prove that the mastermind isn't one of us. I'll expose the mastermind's true identity and solve the mystery of the school. And then we can all escape together. Look up by looking around multiple markers to computers, file. The person's identity is unknown. They are however dead before the blast. They haven't been stabbed a single time with a knife, including her body. She's been stuck to the head and out by a thick of the metal pipe. So I discovered other ruins these are at least several days old. It's kind of really probing into this outlet. I don't know where the mastermind is. Let's try to investigate the bigger killer. There's certain rooms that are locked up for now. Headmaster's room, the bio lab, and the door to the data center marked my face on it. Oh, and also the second floor of the dorms, where the J was down before. That should be open now, right? After all, I'll have to double check the areas that are connected to the murder. In the garden and the dojo. Time to get started. Place to check as you should go. Okay, I'm gonna leave this episode of Danganronpa here. Okay, and here we are with final investigation. In the next episode, we're getting an investigation down. We're gonna search everywhere. We're gonna try and get out all the pieces that we need and see what the frick is going on. And hopefully figure out who the mastermind is. And eventually we will enter the final class battle and see how this game goes. Anyways, I will leave this episode of Danganronpa here. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you guys did, make sure you guys like the video. If you guys have been enjoying my videos lately, make sure you subscribe on down below. If you find it fully free, you can unsubscribe anytime. And help me get to 100 subscribers as soon as possible. As always, I'll see you guys in the next one.